All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Today we're back here talking about the Carolina Panthers. I feel so good about this team long term. They are the youngest defense in the NFL, and this team is actually, they're a couple of drives, a couple of plays away from having a completely different record. Sam Darnold, 2-0 as a starter this season. The last two games have been perfect. What this team needs to do is keep the drives going, right? Keep that defense fresh and just have no turnovers, right? Sam Darnold, to me, the offense was designed for him. I think he's the perfect game manager, and Steve Wilks has done a phenomenal job at rallying the troops. They have found their identity, smash mouth football, and it is so refreshing to see how many Panther fans feel good about this team in the long run. Personally, I think Steve Wilks should be given at least a full season next year under the helm of head coach because these guys want to play for him. And who wouldn't? He seems like a wonderful person, and he is definitely very smart. So, obviously, we're talking Panthers here. Hit that like button, hit that sub button if you guys enjoy it. You guys absolutely blessed my first ever Panthers video from just a couple of days ago. And let's try and get to 500 likes on today's video. I'll keep making Panther content because this is a fascinating team. They're a very fascinating team, and I think that game against Seattle really gives them a nice chip on their shoulder saying, all right, we can contend. Keep in mind, the week before, they beat a top 5 defense in the Denver Broncos. This defense is so talented. They currently rank 13th in the league, but as a lot of you guys were pointing out in the comment section, when your offense is historically one of the worst ever at third down, they're converting like 20% of third downs. Yeah, maybe your defense can keep you in the first half, but if your offense can't get first downs, if they can't extend drives, that defense is going to get tired. So I loved the quote Steve Wilks had this past week. Great teams learn to finish. Let's go be great. They did a phenomenal job against Seattle, man. That scoreboard doesn't do them justice. 30 points, gave up 24, but just week to week, right? All right, here's the good news. They hold their fate in the palm of their hands. They could win out, and they have one of the better schedules as far as the rest of the season goes. I do have a game circled, Christmas Eve against Detroit. That's going to be a difficult game. That is definitely going to be a difficult game. But, take it week to week. Keep on pounding. Keep on dominating the trenches and build that momentum up this upcoming Sunday against Pittsburgh. And we'll take Detroit when it comes, right? Detroit is also one of the hottest teams in football. But like I said, week to week, we'll look at that game when it comes. Statistically speaking, the Panthers currently have a 31% chance to make the playoffs. Now, the good news is this. They dominated the Buccaneers not too long ago, just a couple of months ago. Like a complete domination game. They held Tampa Bay to just 3 points. Tampa Bay is trending downhill so quickly, and the good news is they play the Cincinnati Bengals, to me, the hottest team and probably the second best team in football. You could definitely make an argument that they are the best team in football. Some are doing. All right, I'm not necessarily sold on Philadelphia, but this isn't a Philadelphia or Cincy video. So if you win out, you are in the playoffs. And in fact, you actually have home field. So I think that game against Seattle was perfect football as far as what they're looking for. Just keep running up the gut, man. Just keep running up the gut and no turnovers. And, there was a reason Sam Darnold was picked so high. There's a reason Sam Darnold is still in this league. There's a reason he's a starting caliber quarterback. And we saw it last week. Just, limit mistakes. And definitely going to keep emphasizing this point, limit those turnovers. Because if you can get points on the board, if you can extend drives, if your running game can do what it's been doing so greatly the past couple of weeks, honestly, ever since Matt Rule was fired, which thank goodness for that. Some people don't even like mentioning his name. I can totally understand that. I do not think that's just a whole thing for a whole different day. If you can let the run game do its thing, dominate the trenches, and not throw a pick. There were some moments Sam Darnold in that game against Seattle where he, maybe tried to do a little bit too much. If we could kibosh that, this team can beat any of their last 4 opponents. Now, the last 2 weeks are what it's really going to come down to, because if you can take care of Pittsburgh, if you can take care of Detroit, you still got to get that win in Tampa Bay. But like I said, man, Tampa looks horrible. They just lost to, not trying to disrespect Brock Purdy, because I think he's actually a very underrated quarterback in this league right now, but it was his first ever start, and they came from 28 points in the first half. It was never even close. Tampa Bay is shooting itself in the foot. So if they're going to leave the door open, you might as well barge in, right? This defense is so talented. J.C. Horn, C.J. Henderson, these guys are absolute studs. So defensively, I am so bullish on this team, man. Like, if it's not this year, it's going to be years to come. All this team really needs is a franchise QB and a solid offensive coordinator. And your money. But defensively, they're the youngest defense in the league. That is just so impressive. Good news for the Panthers. Good news for Panthers fans. DJ Moore avoided a major injury. I do anticipate he is going to have a crazier week this upcoming week, because you cannot have your best receiver held to 0 catches. That's also another thing. I really love Terrace Marshall Jr. By the way, he had probably, to me, one of at least the catch of the year this past week against Seattle. But quarterback, a couple of wide receiver weapons, and this future is extremely bright. But getting DJ Moore back, he's back at practice. He's good to go for Sunday. That is absolutely huge, because we've seen him when he can be utilized properly. He is definitely an X factor. He is definitely a weapon to have. But speaking of the run game, Foreman, Hubbard, Blackshear, these guys are doing a great job. Foreman's averaging 4.3 yards per rush. Hubbard's averaging 4.5 yards per rush. Smash mouth football, baby. Keep on pounding, dominate the trench. So, realistically, guys, Panthers fan, I want to hear your opinions down below. What do you think the chance of making the playoffs are? I think, 30 is probably a little fair. I would say maybe it's more like 35%. That's not too much of an uptick, but, you do need some things to go your way. But like I said, you hold your fate in your hands. Momentum is one of the most important things, not only in football, but just in any sport in general, but especially football, because I don't care how the wins happen. I don't care how the Denver win happened. I don't care how the Seattle win happened, which, by the way, once again, is so impressive. Seattle is a playoff caliber team. They have a solid defense. Geno Smith, comeback player of the year. You know how difficult it is to play in Seattle? I can't even imagine. Seahawk fans are amazing, and they show up regardless of how their team is doing every single Sunday, every single time they are playing in Seattle. So take it week to week, because if this team gets another win against Pittsburgh, and if Tampa Bay loses, that momentum, which is already shifting more in your favor, that could be the difference maker. Like I said, man, you win out, you make the playoffs, you got a home game. Anything can really happen. It's going to come down to Sam Darnold to me. It really is going to come down to Sam Darnold to me. So let me know what you guys are thinking. Hit that like button, hit that sub button if you want more Panthers content. Appreciate all your guys' support once again. This is just my second Panthers video, and I'm loving the outlook of this team, man. So let me know down below. Hit the like button, hit that sub button. Peace.